Holy full circle moment. This one is an incredible opportunity for me to interview one of my personal heroes. I can trace back what brought me to this point in my life where I'm the owner of an incredible business. I'm a coach to thousands of people. I've made millions of dollars. I make funny ads, all these beautiful things that have happened to me in my life. And I can trace it all back to reading one book called I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell. Now, you might be hearing that title and thinking, what kind of books was Jamil reading? Well, that's where I was in my life at the time. I was young, I had made money, I had lost money, I was in that debauchery phase of Jamil, and I started to realize that there could be more dimensions to me. When I resonated with the humor of Tucker Max, it inspired me to write my own script, and that script ended up getting me into the door of the comedy scene in Los Angeles, which then turned into a 4-year stint doing open mics, performing on incredible stages, doing sketch comedy, and ultimately led me to doing real estate in Phoenix, Arizona, which then I was able to use the comedy skills in my ads that helped me grow and blow up astro flipping. So you guys see how all of these dots connected? Well, it all started when I read I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell. So I had the opportunity to sit down with one of my personal heroes who had no idea that I existed. And it was an incredible conversation. So if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment if you enjoy this. But without further ado, Tucker Max. Tucker Max.
Great to meet you.
Great to meet you too. I want to tell you first why I consider you one of my heroes. I was in my mid-20s and I was just about to lose millions of dollars in the real estate crash. I mean, I was starting to lose it.
09?
08, yeah. I was starting to lose it and I was going through a major depression, and I read your book, I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell. And I realized, first of all, that whoever wrote this book is one of the funniest dudes I think I'd ever had an opportunity to, read. And that my sense of humor at the time was very similar.
Yeah.
And so I got inspired.
Yeah.
I felt like I could do this. I could write, I could perform, I could do this. And fuck this real estate thing. I'm gonna go try to be a comedian.
Yeah.
And you literally planted a seed in my life that ended up taking me, so I write a pilot, it gets optioned. It never gets made, but at least it takes me to LA.
Yep.
I go to LA and I start doing stand-up for 4 years, and I'm doing sketch comedy, stand-up comedy, open mics, all the stuff.
Yeah, it's a hard business.
Hard business. Yeah. I don't really make anything, financially from it, but it takes me to LA that took me to Phoenix, which is where I build my big business and how my life explodes.
Yeah.
And I end up on television, but through real estate.
Yeah,
but because of it all, my success in the real estate business, my success as an educator, my success on television, it all happened because of part of my sense of humor that got developed by being in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So in this crazy domino effect of life,
Yeah.
you springboarded me into where my life went. And so cheers to you, brother. Thank you for that.
You did it.
I know. It's just...
all I did was provide an example of like, hey, listen, that dude can do it. I can do it too. It's not... I didn't do it for you. I'm happy to be an example, happy to have helped, but you did all the work.
Thank you, but you really did help. You truly did. And
inspirations matter too.
It does, it really does matter. And I know that from being in the situation now where I inspire people, and people tell me this all the time, like, you changed my life. I've never met you. So how did I change your life? It's funny when someone says that to you.
You're on TV, so you get it now.
Yeah.
Do you meet people who have deep, meaningful relationships with you, and it's totally unilateral? It's one way.
One-sided.
Like, I don't know who you are, but they're like, they know everything about you, and they think they do.
Right.
And they know this and this, and remember when you said this? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I was there. Like, you weren't there.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so I get it, right? I totally understand that, and I know that I had this unilateral relationship with you, and we have a common friend, Matt Andrews, and I knew that Matt had a relationship with you, and I had asked Matt, I'm like, listen, I really want to meet Tucker. And eventually he put us together, so here we are.
Great, yeah.
And so thank you for that.
Of course, man.
And
of course.
After having grown up, I rediscover you. Because, of course, you disappeared for a while.
Yep.
And grew up yourself, and a lot of things happened, a lot of things changed, and you went through like a spiritual renaissance, which I'm in the process of in my own world.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about what brought you here from once upon a time Duke law student. I know the history of getting fired from your associate's job within a couple of weeks, like record timing, even fired from your father's restaurant business. Like, so, you were never meant to work for anybody or anything like that.
Obviously not.
So a lot happened, right? What takes Tucker Max from the dude who wrote, I hope they serve beer in hell, to a homesteader and just out of Austin, Texas, living on 50 acres, killing his own food, growing his own food, homeschooling his kids, completely taken out of, the society that helped kind of put you into the spotlight. What happened?
That's a big question. What happened? There's a lot of different ways. There wasn't one moment, but there were a lot of moments where it kind of made me realize that the path of fame and money, I never cared about power. I'm not that type, but I did care about fame. I kind of cared about money. I cared about women a lot, right? And at that age, I was into a lot of women. Quantity, sometimes over quality.
Right.
But I realized that those paths didn't take me anywhere I wanted to go. Like, they were fun to walk for a while.
Sure.
Like, I'm not I was a bad person. No, fuck no. I was having fun. The girls always were having fun. The people were having fun. I did some fucked up things here and there, but for the most part, it was a lot of fun for a while. But ultimately, they weren't going to fill the hole in my soul. I didn't realize I was using them to fill a hole when I was doing it until I just did it so much. It's like, this isn't working. Like, when you're poor and broke and anonymous and miserable and sad and lonely, you think, man, when I'm rich and famous,
absolutely,
I won't have any problems.
Yeah.
And I got richer and more famous than I ever thought I would be. And I was like 10% happier than when I was like a nobody and poor. And I'm like, how can this be? How can I only be 10% happier? This doesn't make any sense.
You're right. You're supposed to be the everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, I fixed everything. I got in amazing shape, got my money dialed in, whatever. Like, everything was perfect in my life. And then I was like, maybe another 5% happier. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't make sense. And the only answer left was inward. Like, if everything is perfect on the exterior of my life, at least as I defined perfect at the time, and I'm still like, maybe I'm not miserable anymore, but I'm like just a little unhappy instead of totally miserable, then it can't be the external stuff. It has to be inside. So I started that journey about 2012 or so, 11, but 12. I started with talk therapy, and then I kind of just kept adding modalities, tried what worked, and I don't know how people get like therapeutic from yoga, but some people do. But I tried that. I'm like, this is useless. It's like bad exercise combined with bad meditation. It makes no sense to me. But I just kept combining things, man, until I found some things that worked. And talk therapy was good for me for a while. It really helped me understand the map of my mind. And then that made me probably another 10% happier. But I'm like, still, it was like something wasn't working. I just knew. And then I found psychedelic medicine. And that was what really cracked me open. Like, it's not a perfect tool. I'm not telling anyone it's a magic pill, nothing like that. But for me, that was the thing that really created a big jump, right? And it wasn't the medicine. It was, honestly, psychedelic medicine is really hard. It sucks. Yeah. It sucks in the worst way.
It's not a party drug.
No. Bro, I don't know how people take LSD and go to concerts. The first time I took LSD was therapeutically, and I just fucking heaving, racking, full body sobs for 12 hours. Nothing but crying for 12 hours. No, I remember saying in the middle of this, like, my guide's there and my wife is there, and I'm like, how do people take this and go to concerts? And they thought that was hilarious. I'm like, this isn't funny.
You're right.
Come here. And so it tore a hole in me, but the best kind. Sort of like, we have a really hard workout and you hate it during, but then a week later you're like, wow, I'm in better shape, I can tell. It's kind of like that. And psychedelic medicine really was the thing that taught me how to feel and taught me how to connect to myself and my emotions. And I think so your question was, how did I end up here?
Yeah.
The path really started with psychedelic medicine in seriousness, because I think everything in the modern world, at least in America, is designed to disconnect you from yourself. Everything. And we can go down everything. I can tell you exactly how that's true. But psychedelics connect you to yourself. And it was on one of the sessions where I kind of, it was so weird. It was a little bit, about 2 years into it. I had this very profound sort of thought. I'm not sure where it came from, source or who knows, myself, my inner wisdom, whatever. And it was like, you want to be on land, right? And I'm like, yeah, my wife and I had always talked about it. We should be on land. We should raise our kids on land. And then I got this internal sort of voice or question was like, well, what are you waiting for? And I was like, fuck. Yeah, what am I? Nothing.
Nothing.
I have the money.
Yeah.
I can go buy land
Yeah.
and live on it. That was in January of 21. We sold our house in March of 21. And that was like the peak when all the Californians were moving to Austin.
Yeah.
Like we actually had 2 California doctors nearly get into a fist fight in our driveway to make an above offer asking. Or above asking offer.
Love it.
I know, right?
Love
It was like this is the most cliche thing in the world. At least at the time in Austin it was. And so we made a killing on our house, but then of course everything else that we bought. Like,
so this was all super expensive as well because you bought it at the peak too.
Right.
Yeah.
We probably paid 3 times what the tax assessed value of this is. Like we didn't get a deal on this at all. But it was beautiful and it was stunning and it's 50
House was
acres.
Here or you built this?
No, that was here. That was here. It was 50 acres, like an hour outside of Austin or so, and peaceful and serene and no noise and cool neighbors, and we could raise our own food and we could do whatever we wanted out here. And so we bought it and it was crazy, man. Like, dude, it took me a year and a half to actually calm down once I got here.
Nervous system was still...
Bro, exactly.
Yeah.
I had done a lot of medicine work when I got here. I was 3-4 years in, and I had evolved so much and grown so much. And you could not have convinced me that I was very adrenalized when I got here. I was. And I didn't know it until I got on land and got to a very peaceful place. At that point, I was pretty much out of my company and didn't have like an empty schedule. And there was a year period where it's like I kept making things for myself to do, or like I would be like anxious if I didn't, like, oh shit, I gotta go do. I don't think you realize how adrenalizing just cities are.
Yeah, you brought City Tucker to Country Tuck, to what's supposed to be Country Tucker, and it doesn't understand what it's supposed to do here.
No, so it took me a long time, about a year and a half, just to calm down and to get on this speed. And then I had to learn how to, this is gonna sound crazy, man, I didn't understand how to see land. Like when I got out here, looking at land, you think you can look at land, right? You're in real estate, so you have more experience than most people. I wasn't in real estate, so maybe what I'm gonna say is like normal for you, but things like, not just looking, oh, there's a bird there or a squirrel there, but like how the land moves, and then how water moves across land is like the thing for land. Like everything you do needs to be based on how the water flows, right? And just understanding that. And then understanding soil, because everything, like soil is the foundation of all the food, both of the meat and the plants that you raise. And then understanding how to look at soil, how to understand soil. And then just trees, how to look at trees and know if they're healthy and not healthy, and all these things that probably all my ancestors understood intuitively because they grew up with it. I had to learn it all. And so every day...
Did you just get books? Like, how did you learn it?
Dude. I woke up every day and I felt like a moron because I couldn't do the most basic shit that, like, I'm not exaggerating, the poor dudes standing in front of Home Depot looking for day labor could all do shit that, like, I had to watch YouTube videos on and they could do it better. And so, like, literally YouTube videos. Wow. It was nothing but YouTube videos.
That's so good.
And my buddy who works on cars came out a few months ago and he's like, he saw my workshop.
You built that all?
Yeah, I didn't build that. Like, that was already here. But, like, he saw, like, some of the stuff I built and done. He goes, dude, you didn't have a screwdriver when you lived in Austin. He's like, what the hell? You have a planer and a joiner now? And I'm like, I know, dude. I had to wake up feeling like an idiot for months. It was like, I almost had to learn it, not just calm down. I had to learn a whole new way to be and how to, like, farmer's hours, peasant hours. Yeah. You rise with the sun, go to bed. My wife's a doctor, she's a nurse practitioner, was basically a doctor, and she's big on health stuff, and she's like, we need to be like, keeping the sun's hours as much as possible. And I'm like, what, are you crazy?
Yeah, so your circadian rhythm
Dude,
is all
you get that stuff aligned, spending time out in the sun, all that stuff. And I'm 48 now, and I'm the healthiest I've ever been, the happiest I've ever been. I'm finally not completely idiotic with what I'm doing out here. I'm like, I've got a baseline of competency. Like, I wouldn't be hired as a skilled person on a day labor crew, but I might be hired as an apprentice on it, right? Yeah. And so, like, but now we've got a flock of sheep, about 50 right now that we're running. Egg chickens, we do all our own meat birds. So I order them, they come, we raise them for 11 weeks, slaughter them here. They don't leave the farm. We kill them here, process them here, put them in the freezer here.
You got a plucker?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh yeah, with a scalder and a plucker, we do it all, man.
My wife grew up on a farm, so I know these things because of it. It's funny because she's like Well, you know, of course, we're split now, but what's up, Nat? Great friends. I love her very much. And, you know, it was a joke, a running joke in her family and mine, too, that she was like the man of the house, right? Because if something broke,
she fixed it.
She would fix it. I'm like, you know, maybe like you, I don't own a screwdriver, but she has an entire tool set, you know?
Yeah.
But anyways, I digress. So you're here, you're raising your own food, you've got all this land, you've got a core competence or a base competency on being able to do this. Your nervous system starts to downregulate. You're up and down with the sun. How long did it take for you to be able to sit down in a chair for an hour, listen to the birds, and not have to feel like you got to get up out of your seat?
I'll tell you, last year was probably the most challenging year of my entire life. So at the beginning of the year, I had a serious tax issue, right? It was like one of those things where the IRS just decided to have a hair up their ass about something with me. And so whenever you're crossways with the IRS, it's a pain in the ass, right? It's stressful. I got that dealt with, and then the sale of my company went through.
That's Scribe?
Yeah, Scribe, like at the end of 2022. And then I only got a small portion of the payout, and then the company went under. Like the CEO and the private investor I sold it to basically destroyed the company, which sucked.
That's terrible.
Right, I know. I didn't like lose money like it came out of my pocket, but I had a lot of money coming that never showed up. And
did you have to pay taxes on the money that never showed up?
No. Thank God I didn't. Because right, you can get in those situations.
Yeah.
No, that was okay. But there was a loan taken out in the company that like also that the CEO at the time swore to me and the other co-founder that he was the only guarantor, that we weren't guarantors. And we just trusted him on that and signed the docs. And it turns out we were guarantors, and the bank like tried to come after us, and that was like a whole fucking thing, right?
So
and
legal process and the whole thing.
There was a lot, man. I lost millions of dollars that I should have gotten from the sale, and then also thought I might be on the hook for a multi-million-dollar loan. So that was stressful. We got that situation resolved, but I don't get any money. That's it. And then, you know, we started a school. I'm homeschooling one of my kids, but two of our kids are at a Waldorf that we were part of the crew that founded out here. And then us and the other family that were the primary founders got very sideways last year. Like, have you ever dealt with a nonprofit? You ever started one?
No.
Don't. Dude, it's the worst.
Okay.
Because it's like, bro, it's like you get the shitty parts of entrepreneurship and the shitty parts of a social group without the good parts of either
the making
thing.
money.
Right. You don't make any money.
Yeah.
And like you don't get like the cool parts. It's just stress. It's like no money and then the stressy part of social groups. It's the worst.
Yeah.
And it just turns out that we had very different values than them, and it caused a lot of trauma or a lot of drama and a lot of stress. And so we ended up resigning from the board of that and all that stuff. And like there's a lot of nonsense that happened at that school. It was very stressful. And basically, man, my wife and I, we've done so much work and emotional work on ourselves. Looking back clearly, it was a year that we had to get the relationships out of our lives that were not on our levels of consciousness anymore.
That's hard.
Yeah, because it kind of like we didn't choose to get rid of them. It's like they kind of forced themselves.
I think it's a vibratory thing, right? They
dude,
can't mesh with you anymore.
I know that's 6 years ago. I'm like, get that woo-woo nonsense the fuck out. Now I'm like, yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah. It's true, but when you're going through it, it's still stressful.
It is.
You know? So we had a lot of relationships, core relationships end and transition. They fucking ended. And they didn't end usually in good ways, unfortunately. But as bad as challenging as 23 was, 24 has just been like, just straight up. Everything's been great.
Amazing.
Like even things that haven't gone great have been the best possible way of not great. And so
there's sandbags in the ship, right?
Dude,
you gotta let them out. You gotta drop them. How are you gonna set sail if you got sandbags in the ship?
Well, what if you love those sandbags and you don't want them to be sandbags?
You do.
I don't want them to be sandbags, but they are, and
yeah.
I just wouldn't recognize what they were for a long time, which is my own fault.
Sure.
Like, you know the fable of the snake, you know, like there's a snake on the road and it says, yeah, pick me up, and like, but you're a snake. Oh, but I'm a different snake. I'm not like other snakes. I'm not all bitey. And like this, like, okay, I'll pick you up, and pick Snake up, and he bites you, and you're like, what the fuck, dude? You said you wouldn't bite me. It's like, I'm a snake, bitch. What did you expect? I had to learn that lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was, I think if I'm being really honest, I was emotionally, neurologically at that level late last year, but it was still such a stressful year, man, that there was a lot of stuff. And so I don't think I was real relaxed last year, but it was crazy. It was almost right to the day that it turned over into 24, that the last kind of thing on everything tied up, and it was like, oh wow, like everything's just working. I could almost feel it. And this year for sure, I've been able to like just chill, and like have fun and relax and like, yeah, dude, like I meant to put in one orchard this year and I liked it. I kind of hired somebody to help me with it so I don't fuck it up. And they were good and they showed me what to do and they knew what they were doing. I'm like, oh, this is easy, I can do this. And he's like, yeah, dude, you can do this. It's not that hard, especially once you know what to do. And so I put in 2 other orchards.
Nice. What are you growing?
Fruits. I mean, like this one has pears, plums, peaches, nectarines, and apricots. That one has a ton of kiwi, passion fruit, grapes, plus some fruit trees, apples, and some other stuff. And this one's almost all pawpaws. Do you know what pawpaw is? Oh, it's this awesome fruit, man. It's like a banana sort of texture, but it tastes kind of like a mix between apple and mango. Used to be one of the biggest fruit trees in North America.
Okay.
You've never heard of them because they don't work in the industrial food system. Like as soon as you take them off the vine or off the tree, they stop ripening.
Okay.
And you kind of have to let them ripen on the tree and they're shitty right up until they ripen. And then you only have about a day to get them off. So like, you know, if you raise them, then it's not a problem.
Sure.
You just eat them right off your thing. Yeah, pawpaws and passion fruit too. Like there's one species called incarnata that's native to North America that like most North American Indians, pawpaws and passion fruits were like staples of their diet. And probably my great-great-grandparents had them in their backyard, but no one, because everyone gets their food from grocery stores now.
Are you buying anything from a grocery store these days?
Yeah. I don't believe in off-grid and I'm not like nonsense about it. We buy milk from next door, raw milk. Big believer in raw dairy. We'll get some fruit, in-season fruits, you know, like right now, like blackberries, strawberries, you know, like if we're not, because we don't grow a lot of annuals here, mainly perennials, and so we'll do that if it's in season. I like kombucha. I don't want to do my own kombucha. No, it's like then your house stinks and it's like a whole thing. I mean, I don't make this.
You don't make that. This is delicious.
The Italians make this.
Yeah, it's great.
Some cheese, definitely. Like, it's not easy in Texas to get really good local cheese. You can find some, but not much. You know, things like that. Things I can't get. Like, we could get all our food locally or just from here, but then we'd have a very, like, we wouldn't eat there wouldn't be a big variation. So, yeah. Like,
well, let's put the tinfoil hat on for a moment. I want to as well, because I'm like you, I've been, of course, on this path of trying to wake up. And when I say wake up, I don't mean woke. Like, I'm trying to understand what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
What's going on around me? What's going on inside of me? Quick story or an analogy I'll share with you. When disillusion of my marriage happened at the same time as this really terrible spine injury that I got. So I'm in the hospital. I end up having a C3 to C7 spinal fusion.
That's no joke.
No joke. And it felt like to me, like if you imagine I'm a Christmas tree, I got all my ornaments on me, this beautiful tree, and when my wife left and that happened, it felt like somebody just came and shook me and all my ornaments were on the ground. And I realized that I was just using all these ornaments as ways to define who I am and what's important to me. It was all so that other people could see it.
Yeah.
It wasn't about what I cared about.
Yep.
Everything was external, and at the end of the day, I realized I'm not a Christmas tree, I'm a tree. Why am I in the living room? I should be out in the forest. I should be where I should be.
That's a good metaphor.
And so when I came to the realization that that's what was happening and I needed to take responsibility for it, because at some level I created everything that was going on in my world, everything. And I had to like take myself out of being a victim and put myself in the driver's seat of the whole situation.
Which is hard. Isn't that hard, man?
Very hard.
To get out of victim mindset.
Big time.
It's so ingrained in all of us in this modern culture.
It helps. If you're a victim, then it's okay to go to work from 8 to 6 or whatever. And not that I'm poo-pooing a job. Jobs are great. But I mean, when you are doing something in a career that you despise, for people that you despise, then come home to a wife that you despise, in a life that you despise, and everything around you is hatred. And then you wonder why you're drinking every night. You wonder why you look forward to Friday with your shit friends. And who you actually despise and who despise you. And so like you're just in this really, really terrible cycle of bullshit, right? So when I see this and I see what you're doing here, it makes me think, okay, well, you know something about what's going on in the world or in the establishment that has made you want to unhook.
I just open my eyes, just look. You don't have to, I don't have some fucking secret. Not like I have my best friends in the NSA and he's like, all right, well, here's the deep state's plans. Just fucking look.
Just look at it.
Just look. Look at what's happening. Like, I don't care. You can hate Trump all you want. I know the Trumps. There's reasons to hate them. Sure, whatever. You can find a reason to hate anybody. But how can you look at Biden in the White House now and be like, oh yeah, this is fine?
No. I can't.
No way.
And I
just look.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, you can even make the same argument about Trump and his presidency.
Sure.
Especially at the end. This dude's all behind the vaccines. He still is. He still brags about that stuff. Like he's no hero. He's not gonna save you. Yeah. You wanna think Trump's better than Biden or whoever else? Okay, fine. Yeah, but that's like, which toilet is cleaner? It's still fucking toilets. I don't wanna eat from either one of them. Yeah, I wanna eat from the toilet with shit all over it less than the clean toilet, but I'm still eating out of a toilet.
Yeah.
I mean, like, just look. Like, I thought I really was awake to the world in 2019. I did. You couldn't have convinced me I didn't understand the way the world worked. And 2020 was such a shock to me because I was directionally correct, but I just didn't realize how craven this and how broken the system really was, how fucked up it really was. And the thing I didn't really grasp was how many people would gladly be the bad guys. Like, everyone wants to think in Nazi Germany, they'd be Schindler. We now know about 30 to 40% of Americans will be the fucking Nazis and love it. How many people do you see still wearing masks?
Dude, we were just driving the other day, and there's a guy in a car by himself. Driving with a mask
I got one better. I saw someone, I swear to God, I wish I'd taken a picture of this because no one's gonna believe it when I tell you. There was a woman in a car by herself. She had a mask on her chin and a cigarette, mask down, smoking. With a mask on her chin and a car by herself, and I'm just like,
Windows rolled up too.
Oh, totally, rolled up.
Yeah, she's hotboxing her.
I'm just like, I would love to actually have a conversation with her and see how she got to that point.
Right.
But like, I think all you have to do is not just look, but be willing to see. Because once you see, you're willing to accept what you see. The problem, I think everyone can see it. Most people won't accept it because to accept it breaks their reality. And they don't know how to operate if someone else isn't telling them what's right and wrong. I got lucky, man. I had really shitty parents, but they were so shitty they never pretended they cared. And so I learned early on that kind of I had to take care of myself and I had to think for myself. And so it was a blessing. You know, the ultimate blessing would have parents who loved you, who taught you to think for yourself, which I'm trying to do with my kids. But the next best thing is parents who don't care about you and you learn to think for yourself. And so I was able to see, man. And accept it. And so once I saw it and accepted it, well, to me, there was no other option. And it depends. Like, there are people who think the world's gonna collapse. And they're like, all right, I'm gonna go to Alaska. I need to go off grid. I don't think it's gonna get that bad. I could be wrong. I think it'll get bad. Probably worse than it is now or was during COVID. But I think America will come through in some shape or form. Probably not what it was, but something. And I think being in a rural area on land with good neighbors and a good community, and you're able to be not self-sufficient totally, because I don't believe that's possible in the modern world, but to be very resilient and able to essentially live without inputs for at least weeks or months.
Power and water is all self-generated?
Yeah, power. I mean, I'm on grid because why would I not be, right? But I have dual backups, like I have generators and solar backups, and then all my own well water, and that's, I mean, you see that's 40,000 gallons of rainwater, right? So that's like, so all the major inputs were good for an extended period of time. Yeah. And you know, like, listen, if the petrochemical system collapses and nothing matters, then it's just total, like 95% of the world's gonna die, and then it's real Mad Max. I don't think it's gonna get there. So then the question just becomes, if it gets bad enough, but not a total collapse, where do you need to be and how do you need to prepare? So I just like, okay, I went and found the people who've been through similar situations, either read what they wrote or talked to them, and figured out.
You're not a doomsdayer by any means. No, you're prepared.
I actually think it's 2024. I think by 10 years from now, roughly, maybe 15, but probably 10, I think we'll have hit bottom and turned a corner. And I think actually a golden age is coming. Not for the federal government, not for America as we understood it. But if you are a sovereign, self-reliant type, right? Some degree of that. And you're an upstanding member and a productive member of a good community. And I mean when I say community, I mean old school. Like, I know my neighbors. I know they're like, we all have a group text. Like, everyone in this corridor plus the larger community, part of several organizations, a larger community, like, we're really dialed in out here in a lot of ways. Not just because of me. There were a lot of dialed in people before I got here. It's part of why we picked this, and then other dialed in people have come, and it's become even better. But then I think those types of people, we're gonna reach a point where I think the people who are trying to control everything they've had their moment. The pendulum's coming back. And I think
it is a pendulum. It always is.
It's coming back, man. And I think the peak was probably 23 for them. And they're not going to let go, but they're not going to win now.
And nothing happens overnight either. It's
No.
always a progression, and
No. I think the world's going to, my kids are 9 through 2.
Yeah.
They're going to grow up in a way better place than we did, a way freer place, a way more sovereign place. Not freer in the way we thought of it, but freer like on a day-to-day basis. They're going to have the opportunity to do almost whatever they want. And it's going to be awesome, man. Like, I'm going to live to see it. It'll be in our lifetime.
You know, kids, I've got 2 daughters, and it seems to me like for whatever reason, your kid wants to do everything you didn't do. They want to be the exact opposite of you. So what happens if like one of your kids comes and says, Dad, I want to be an investment banker?
That would maybe be, I don't want to say it's worse. That would be as bad as if my daughter said, I want to be a stripper, as if she said, I want to be an iBanker. Like, if she wants to go work for Goldman Sachs, it will have mean I failed so profoundly as a father. I literally would treat it the same as if she were on a pole. I swear, hand to God. I really would, man.
I think that's the reason why I asked the question, because I'm like, you know, what happens? Because kids do that. They do bullshit like that.
I don't think so. I think kids do that when they hate their parents.
Okay.
Or when their parents, they have some real unresolved issue with their parents. They will do that as a way to get back at their parents. I'm not a perfect parent, but I don't think I'm raising kids that are going to be angry and resentful, so angry and resentful at me and my wife that they decide to ruin their life to get back at us. That's a whole different game, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm definitely not a perfect parent, but bro, that's a different level.
All the parents of investment bankers right now, if they're watching this, they're like, wow, you know, should we just name her Destiny? What do we do here? But
I know, right?
So how do you live? What's your day-to-day work? How does Tucker make money?
So, I mean, I still made, you know, quite a bit of money on books and other investments. I've done, you know, I was like an early investor in Palantir and Slack and few others, so I've done all right, you know. Not so good. I have an 800-acre ranch. It's only 50, right? So, but good enough. So I'm pretty good with money. I did just launch a company called Tell Your Story that we help people write their memoirs, right? And it's like very intensive group coaching with me and one other woman, Emily, who's helped me build the book coaching program at my old company, Scribe. She's awesome. She's incredible. And we just launched our first cohort. We're about to do our second. And that'll end up, you know, in the low 7 figures, and it'll make good money, and I'll do fine with that.
And it's purposeful work because you're helping people get their story out there. And if you can help them get to a place of authenticity, and they're probably going to heal a tremendous amount by just
Memoir is a
facing.
therapy, dude. Okay, so whether you know it or not, you just hit on the thing that makes what we do different. Most people who teach memoir, even good memoirs, people who've written successful memoirs, like Mary Karr or people like that, the way they teach memoir is essentially, how do I write a fancy sounding memoir that people want to buy? In my experience, most people don't care about that.
Yeah.
If you want to be a writer as a job, that's what matters.
Sure.
Most people want to tell their story. And what they mean by that is they want to tell themselves the truth of their life. That's what memoir is. It is a process for them to uncover and voice their truth. And we approach memoir as a therapeutic process. It's not a replacement for therapy, for talk therapy or psychedelic therapy or anything else, but it is a therapeutic process. And in fact, one of the most studied therapeutic processes there are and validated is writing. Like, writing your story is one of, Jordan Peterson has like his course on this for this reason. And this guy, Pennebaker at UT, has done decades of research on this. It's one of the only clinically validated therapeutic processes is writing. And so we don't approach it as a clinical therapeutic process, we approach it as memoir, but that's everyone who comes in our program is very serious about being honest with themselves, right? And like really telling themselves, what the fuck is up with my life? Because if you actually sit down and talk to someone about their life and start asking them questions, you can get almost, if you're really listening and you really care, you can get almost anyone to tears in about half an hour.
Yeah.
If you're actually curious and non-judgmental and maybe asking the next question and the next question after that most people don't ask. When someone gets to something a little hard and they laugh and you're like, well, tell me. Most people, 30 minutes, an hour most.
Yeah.
Because most people don't ever think about their own life or talk about their own life. Everything in our culture is about disconnecting people from themselves, not connecting them. Yeah. And so I try to live my life now. Almost everything in my life is about connection with self first, then nature. Well, really, honestly, if I'm starting, I would start with connection with God, or source, if you want to call it source of the universe, then myself, then nature, then my family. Actually, family, then nature, probably. Then my my neighbors, my community, and then the people in my world I care about. You know, and if I can connect with those, I think
full life, yeah.
What else could you want?
Yeah.
I'm 48, and that's the thing I've learned is that's the only thing that matters are the relationships I have with the people I care about. The people and the things I care about. Land, God, friends, family. Nothing, there is nothing else.
Right. You know, it's so cool to hear you say that, because when I met you in the book, you were going after, and it felt to me like everything that you were doing was what I wanted to do in my life, right? Like, and then to see where you got, you know, you became ultra successful, famous, rich, all the things. I pursued that. And, you know, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You get through these specific little parts of the pyramid or the hierarchy, and you think, okay, cool, I've got everything that I could possibly want. I've got the status, I've got the vehicles, I've got the home, I've got the girl.
It doesn't fill the hole, does it?
Nothing.
No, it doesn't.
Like,
it doesn't.
You could,
because
you
got
could
the
kill
same
yourself.
Right. You got all the same shit.
You could still feel like you could kill yourself, because it's like, none of this matters.
In fact, it's worse.
It
because
is.
you think this was gonna work, and then it doesn't, and you don't know what to fucking do.
Right. Right. Oh. And it's so funny because part of my job is helping people become financially free. And I tell them this. I'm honest with them when I say it. I said, my job is to get you financially free, and so you get the money so that you learn it's not it.
That's kind of funny.
That's my job.
I'm gonna make you rich so you realize it won't make you happy.
It won't make you happy. And I mean,
but it is better, bro. I'm gonna tell you all day. It's better to be rich and sad than poor and sad. At least for me, it was. Some people, you're right, it's not. Some people get or poor and sad and get rich and sad, and they get so depressed because they had all their chips on money, so to speak. And then when money doesn't work, they don't know what to do. And they're not willing to look anywhere else. They're not willing to go inside.
So what you see outside, I'm learning, is a reflection of what's inside of you. So your world, your bank account, your relationships, the things you say, the things you're attracted to, it is 1,000,000%.
You know what I teach my kids?
What is it?
I teach them that they create their own world.
They do.
With their thoughts.
Yeah.
And I explain, listen, this isn't literally true. Like, you don't get to create a chair just with your mind.
Thinking of the chair. Yeah.
But you can. I mean, like, the next step is you learn how to build a chair.
Yeah.
And so you can almost create it with your mind. There's just an action step. But almost everything in your world, maybe not as a kid, it's a little different, you know, but as you grow up, as a kid, maybe 80% of what's in your world you create with your thoughts, but as an adult, it's 100%. If it's in your world as an adult, it's because you created it, you wanted it, whether it's conscious or unconscious. And I give them examples, I walk them through it, I kind of show them, I've taught them how to visualize stuff, like, they get it. They already understand. I think because they're young and they haven't been corrupted yet, you know, because they're not in public schools. And so they're like, all of them, even the 4-year-old, like he gets like, they don't say I can't. They don't say it won't work. None of that. Like they have amazing attitude. I mean, they're learning. They're not perfect with it, but like my 9-year-old really gets it, man. Like he decided one day he wanted to be good at jujitsu, and the dude's like winning tournaments left and right now. That's and kind of like he's doing amazing. And it was just like he decided, not only was this gonna happen, but I'm gonna do what it takes to make it happen, and that's it. And then my 7-year-old decided she's gonna be good at art, and now she's like amazing. Which is not, doesn't sound revolutionary, right? Except do you hang out with kids?
Yeah.
Because I have 4 kids, I meet a lot of kids, and it's actually kind of a rare thing for kids to think like this.
Well,
I don't even know a lot of adults who do, honestly.
Parents are trained to teach their kids how to lower their expectations because the parents had to lower their expectations.
Very few people can give their kids anything beyond what they ever got or what they have.
Right. And you love your kids, regardless of what you've gotten in your world.
Yep.
You love your children, and you're like, look, I don't want my child to go through the pain of dissatisfaction or the rejection or the unmet expectation and all the things that could go along with that. So I'm gonna tell my kid, look, this isn't real. None of this is possible. These people sell their souls, or this is this, or this is witchcraft, or meditation. You know, I meditate and I talk about it, and I've been 10 years ago, I was a drug addict alcoholic. And I believe that through meditation, I changed my state. Not that I'm perfect by any means. I've, gotten overserved myself a few times since then. But overall, I'm a completely different man. And I know that it's because I went inside, because I decided to take a look and see what is going on in here. And why am I thinking this way? And why do I feel this way? And why is it at 5 o'clock I need to have a drink? Why is that?
Part of me.
Yeah. And then I understood.
Those are hard questions to ask, man.
You have
to. You don't have to. You don't have to. You decided to.
I did.
How many people do you see in a similar position to you who decide not to? Most people. Right. Yeah. So don't say you have to.
Yeah.
You had to. for you, and you decided to make that leap. And it's hard, bro. Like, you should give yourself credit, dude. Like, it's not an easy thing. And the reason, even if you feel like you had no other choice, I mean, that's cool, that's great, but look around. And you can see so many people who make the other choice. You know, like, I'm with you, man. I don't feel like I could have survived making it, accepting it, rolling over, selling my soul, all that. I couldn't have either. The smartest people I know, I feel like they always feel like what they do isn't that hard. They don't understand why everyone else can't do it. I'm kind of like that with writing. Like, I don't understand why everyone's not good at this. It doesn't mean I'm not great. It doesn't mean I'm not good. Just because it comes naturally or it seems easier for you or you did that doesn't make it less remarkable. You know?
Are you writing another book?
I'm actually working on my next memoir. It's by far the hardest book I've ever worked on. It's kicking my ass.
Is doing the group helping you in the process?
It's the reason I started the group.
Okay.
Because
accountability, it's making you do it.
I didn't have to start a business this year, right? Yeah. The reason I started this is because I was sucking so much wind at this book and not doing anything. I was making no progress. And I made it part of the group. Like I said, like, part of what you're gonna get in this company is you're gonna get to see, because Emily's working on a memoir too. Like, you get to see both of us, professional memoirists, write our memoirs in real time. And you get to see the rough drafts and stuff, right? And so my commitment was, like, every 2 weeks I have to deliver something. And, like, dude, I have delivered some dumpster fire rough drafts to them because I had nothing else. And it's actually, I did not design it this way. It's been probably the most remarkable thing about the group is that, like, these people have seen me just like garbage. And they're like, oh, wow, like, what I'm writing is not this bad. This is how the process works. Because they're so down on themselves. You know, and it's such a difficult creative process, right? Especially if you don't have guidance or if you don't know how it works. And it's like all first-time memoirists. And so they're like, it's actually been the most encouraging thing for them to see me suck. You know, and be honest about it. Like, guys, this is, like, I'll get there. I'm gonna turn it around. But this is what it looks like going through the hard stuff. And it's like, they've loved it. which is, like, not fun for me to like turn in stuff that, like, mortifyingly, I'm like, guys, don't you ever share this outside of this group.
Too, especially because, you know, these guys paid to be in your group. And you're, you know, of course, you're a New York Times bestselling author multiple times. And so they're expecting you're going to be delivering.
Impossible.
You know,
I could never do that.
They're like, oh, we can't wait for this brilliant prose that he's going to deliver. And, you know, and it's like you self-described dumpster fire, which is great because it lets everybody be honest and it lets everyone suck. Because in the beginning, we all suck. We all suck a lot, right? And we have to refine everything we do.
There's maybe 1 or 2 things ever in my life I've been good at from the start.
I once watched a recording process of a guy who's a, you know, multi-platinum recording artist, incredible singer. And I watched the process of how a song gets made. And it's the most boring shit I've ever seen in my life.
It is.
How many takes they do of one line, you know, and then all of the things that go, it's like, you think that some dude sitting in a booth just belting this thing out in one go, right? And you're just like, how did he do that? And how did he catch his breath after the last note? Like, oh my God, when I'm singing in the shower, I don't have wind like, it's just all these things you think. But it's like they sometimes had hours between each thing, right? And then when they put it all together and it's mixed and it's engineered and all the things, and now you get this incredibly produced song. And so it made me understand the artistic process is a process. Even watching somebody paint, you think that, oh my God, they're just gonna come here and with brush strokes, this all just magically happens, but it's a process.
And the best painters know how to cover up their mistakes. It's not that they don't make mistakes. They know how to deal with them.
It's cool, dude. And I think that's the humanity of it. As humans, we factor in an error on everything because we are in so many ways fallible. And so when we get to do that and then use the error and find a way, like the Japanese pottery that I don't know what it's called, but they break it and then they fill it with gold.
It's like Yusugi or something like that. I can't remember the name. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's beautiful. It's amazing. And it's like, wow, that's the imperfection made to art. But it's kintsugi.
There you go.
It's just incredible to see because it's exactly what the artistic process should be. And the fact that they highlight it in gold lets you know that, hey, human, this is where the gold is. I took Bobby to LA a couple of months ago and I said, Bobby, I want you to come and I just have you record me telling you the truth for 3 days. And I started from the beginning.
You're like your whole story?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I just sat down and told him the truth.
Whew, that was brutal, I bet.
It was brutal.
I know what it feels like to tell. That's hard, man.
It's hard.
If you really tell your real truth.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was so weird. It felt
That's so
weird
hard,
to
dude.
do.
Oh.
But it felt so good afterwards, right? Because
Yeah, no,
even he was
sure.
just like, how does that feel? And
You'll
I'm like,
feel
I
better.
took the biggest shit of my life.
Yeah. Like it came out sideways, I bet.
Yeah. And there's still parts of it where he's like, I don't know, bro. You know, but because we're crazy, you know, you do a lot of crazy things can happen to you in your life. I want to dive into the inner world, Tucker, now, because you are, I can see and feel, a highly spiritual person. Did you grow up religious?
I was Episcopal, and which is like Catholicism without the guilt of the religion. I was an altar boy actually at my Episcopal church. Until I was like 12, I didn't think anyone actually believed in God. I thought it was a social club. I thought we all just pretended. I swear to God, that's how Episcopal my church was, right? Like, because I got an argument with a Sunday school teacher at 12 about like some Moses part in the Red Sea. I'm like, well, no one actually believes this, and she was like, wow, I was all upset. And
it's the ocean.
And then I had to go see the priest or the bishop, and he's all like, what are you talking about?
Physics, sir.
It's funny, I believe that if you're smart and you really come from a place of reason and logic, at some point you almost have to be atheist. Because you can't get to God from reason and logic.
Correct.
Like if you just approach God from that perspective, God, it's nonsense. It's fucking transparent nonsense. And so I get why the extreme atheists are what they are. Because I wasn't militant about it, but I was just like, why would I believe this? There's no proof. And then for me, it was psychedelics that got me there. It was the first time I did LSD and MDMA together, which is a great combo for me. And I had what can only be described as like an ecstatic experience, a religious ecstatic experience. Where I didn't talk to God, but I had the experience of God, right? And the experience of oneness. And I studied the Bible and Jesus and Buddha in college, so I knew that stuff from an academic standpoint, and like it all made sense finally. Like I got it on an intuitive, so I'm like, oh, of course this is what Jesus means. Oh my God, I didn't. And I had that true ecstatic oneness experience, and it was almost like I was like, oh, of course this is all real. Like, how could I not believe that? Like, oh, of course I couldn't believe it. I'd never had the experience. God is an experience. And I remember, like, that's what people say when they say, like, I have a relationship with God. I was like, what the I didn't know what the fuck they were. I thought they were idiots. Like, what does that even mean?
One-sided conversation. You schizophrenic? Like, what's happening here?
Who are you talking? No one's talking to me. This is nonsense. Yes. And now I understand. I like to call it a connection to source. Yeah. Because to me, God comes with religious, the term God comes with religious dogma. And I think
it doesn't need to, but if it's packed in like that for you, then it will.
Right. If someone wants to believe that dogma, okay, fine, whatever. I think someone described it to me perfectly. I was having an argument with them about this, about why you don't, because this was one of his core messages. You don't need the church or the priest to get to God. And they were arguing with me about that. And they said, no, dogma is important. Dogma is a container for the experience. And I said, I don't need a container. If you do, that's fine. I don't. And like, he didn't know what to say because those people I think can't think beyond that, which is like, that's a phase, I guess. And maybe some people don't get out of it. But when I say connecting to everything, connecting to source has been the primary thing that I've really worked on, especially the last year or so, is differentiating like, what's my ego, what's my conscious mind, and what's my intuitive self, and what's source.
Can you tell what's
Not
your
perfectly,
ego?
no, man.
I'm still in that phase of.
I'm maybe halfway there.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at figuring out what's ego and conscious mind.
Yeah.
I'm maybe 70, 80% of the way there. But dude, it's crazy, man. Like I'll be walking around out here, and if I really focus, and you're a meditator, so you know what I mean by, like I tried meditation before I tried psychedelics. It never worked for me because I didn't understand meditation. I thought meditation was quieting your mind. It's quieting your body so your mind can bring forth what it's trying to bring forth, and you can notice it and let it go. I didn't understand any of that at first. I didn't have good meditation teachers. But what I've found is walking around here and doing work out here can be very meditative. And so when I really focus in a meditation sense, I can feel like such a deep connection with source, like I'll start crying, or I'll very like emotional reactions, positive, but like very emotional, or I'll like clear insights or ecstatic joy, or I don't know, man. It's like, it's almost overwhelming. It's really like, I can't do it at will, but maybe once a month or so, if I focus, or once, every couple times a month, I'll get there and it's like, oh my God. It's like, I don't know how else to describe it, man. Are
you familiar with Eric Gotze?
No.
He's a friend of Aubrey Marcus. I think they're all
I know Aubrey super well.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah, he's a good friend.
Yeah. You should ask him to connect you to Eric.
Okay.
Eric's a wonderful dude. I've learned from him tremendously. Aubrey too. But Eric describes this thing, he calls it the shimmer. And it's the point of like pure presence, right? When you're there and you feel it and everything's a little crisper, the light's a little crisper, the leaves are crisper, everything, the sounds are crisper, and you can sense the connectivity between you and everything that's around you.
Yeah.
I was walking my dog yesterday, my mom's 82nd birthday yesterday, so I was just full of gratitude that woman is still alive with me. I have a great relationship with her. Yeah. And so I was full of gratitude, and I was in that shimmer yesterday in the morning, and I was crying. And I know that there were people watching me wondering, like what's wrong with this guy? He's walking his dog, he's in tears, I'm crying, but it was happy tears. But I still look like somebody beat me up when I'm crying, because I don't know what it is about how I cry. It's terrible. But I was crying, but it was so beautiful. It was such a transcendent experience that I couldn't hold it in.
Yeah.
So you're spiritual, and are there any practices, are there anything that you do that's ritualistic that you say, this is the church of Tucker Max, like I do these things to prime myself every day, or this is how I deliver reverence? How do you connect on a daily basis, if you even do?
This is going to sound very Buddhist, at least Thich Nhat Hanh Buddhist. I don't do anything to connect. What I try and do is connect in what I do. When I'm planting a tree, like when I'm tending, now I tend the orchards, right? Like I try and do that. Like Thich Nhat Hanh had a great saying. He said, Buddhism is not reverently, eating an orange. It's focusing on eating the orange and nothing else, right? So I try to do the same thing.
Consciously.
Right. Like I'm in that garden, and listen, I can't talk to trees or plants. Like some people swear they can. I don't have that ability. But I at least try and connect the way I can with what's around me. I can start by focusing on what I'm doing, right? And focusing on the beauty and then everything else. And that's usually when I'm doing that, is if I'll get some like deeper feeling. But we have rituals in our family. Like I do, Gong Fu tea every morning, and my wife and I do that, and we connect over that. And then I make kids breakfast every morning, and we connect over that. And like, I have oriented my life so that I spend the maximum amount of time doing things on this ranch or with my family. And to me, I feel like that's sort of the best way to connect. It's like someone says, I want to save the world. I'm like, well, why don't you save yourself? I don't know of a better way to connect to God than connecting to everything around me in a deep, meaningful way, the best I can in that moment. Does that make sense?
It does, because when you have those experiences like you did, it sounds to me like you dissolved.
Yeah.
I've had a dissolving experience, and that's when you come to terms with, oh my God, God's everything.
Yeah.
It's not you, the psychopath, running around telling everybody you're Jesus, right? It's not. No. We're not talking psychosis. It's at least what I felt was that everything is this consciousness. Everything is, right?
It's not that I'm God. It's that we all have a piece of God in us, and we're part of the system, and the system is essentially God, which is totally different. Those are the opposite things. Yeah. They're the complete opposite. Yeah. Really, the I am God is just modern narcissism. Yeah. Like to the narcissist, they are God. Right? To anyone healthy and adjusted, they realize what most psychologists would tell you is a healthy person realizes God is up here. I don't think so. I think that's healthy as defined by modern consumerist culture. I think really healthy is realizing that I am a part of God and the whole system is a part of God. Like, I hate to sound like a kooky environmentalist, because it's such a shame that environmentalism and conservatism and hunting all split to different groups. But like, the idea that you can shit all over nature and it doesn't impact you is just profoundly ridiculous and nonsense. And of that, the environmentalists have it right. They have it right. Now, their solutions for that, I think, are fucked up and anti-human. But it's so funny what LSD did for me, or when I was on what I experienced. It didn't start with the experience of God. I know physics and chemistry really well. Like I was almost majored in chem in college. And so like it took me through what I knew in physics and chem and showed me through physics and chem, like kind of proved to the extent you can prove God, it showed me like, oh, there's actually a bridge here.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite get you, it's not the experience. Yeah. But I realized, oh shit, wait a minute, there's way more to this. And then like, look, Jesus Christ, the primary physics contribution of the 20th century was Einstein, the one everyone knows, E equals MC squared. What that means is that
energy
everything is
matter.
energy.
Yeah.
This is energy. It's just moving slowly. Right.
And it's all mostly empty space.
The entire fucking system is all one energetic system. Any physicist would be like, yeah, of course. Yeah. That's the whole tenet of modern physics. Well, if you understand that, that's it. But it's still not the experience. And then once I kind of got that, it's like I dropped my guard, and then I had the experience of God, the experience of oneness, and then it was like, oh my God, right? It wasn't ego dissolution, it was the dissolution of self, which is a little different than ego death. At least it was for me. And then it was like, oh fuck, this is totally clearly correct. It was only the experience that I got it, that I really got it. And then it was like, from there, I was like, oh shit, almost everything I believe is wrong. Yeah. I gotta reassess everything now. Like, if this is true, whew.
I had a fun one. I can't put my finger on it if it's self or ego or whatever, but I dissolve. You know, the sensation I'm feeling, I don't know, I'm not me anymore. Even what I see, everything is not, it's not normal any longer. Yeah. I'm in a mandala. Yeah. Right? Which I can't even describe what that is. Yeah. But I'm in this tapestry of images. I describe it like being hugged by like 1,000 moms. The love.
Moms?
Moms, mothers. You know, you know, but you know, you didn't have a mom like that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just like,
I got you, yeah.
And then a voice came and said, all of it.
Yeah.
And then I descend, or I drop into the dark place. Yeah. And I'm in this darkness. And even in the darkness was in worship to God. Yeah. When I came out of it, and I'm in my chest, and I'm like, what the F was all that? You know, I integrated for a while, and I actually came to terms with, oh, all of it's God. Yeah. Everything is. From what we label as good, what we label as bad, all these things, it's like, it's all it. Yeah. And it's just all polarity, right? It's just, there's just opposites. And we don't know what good is if we don't see what bad is. You don't know what bad is if you don't know what good is. Everything's in relation to itself, right? So I'm like, but I guess I'm 45. You
can't. I think this is all an experience.
Teaches us this.
Like, bro, it's for people watching, right? The people who've experienced this, like, oh yeah, right. And the people who haven't, like,
they're crazy,
right? Because it's not. You can't think. We're both trying to use words to describe something that is beyond. Yeah. Beyond words.
What's next for you?
I mean,
other than of course, just this.
Man, I'm pretty happy with this, man. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna keep, doing Tell Your Story. Like, that's awesome, and we're gonna keep helping people with that.
Which, by the way, guys, are you okay if we promote that on this?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
If you guys want to work with Tucker, please. There's gonna be a link in the description. I actually might join you in that. I think
that'd be awesome. You would like it. It's really good.
I'm gonna join you in that.
Dude, it's really, really good.
I'm joining you in that.
I would love that.
When's your next?
May 29th and 30th, and then there's one in August. So if you want to wait till August, no problem.
So guys, I'm joining this. Click on the link, talk to his team. Maybe we'll be in the same group. I'm not going to tell you which one I'm going to do, May or August, whatever. You get to decide. You get to find out. But I'm definitely in it.
Yeah, you'd be great. I think you would fit right in. We got awesome people, and you would be right there with them. But one of the things, I think, for me, recognition of God's source, the next step was then learning how to surrender. That's been hard for me, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
Really hard. I had very strong ego structure. And I don't mean that as like a brag. Like, it's when you go through a lot of trauma, one of the you build a strong ego structure. And I did. And so surrender's been really hard for me. Not humility, but just like learning how to kind of go with the flow and how to surrender to God's plan. Is like my Mormon friend always says, like, this is God's plan. And I'm like, you don't fucking know God's plan. How are you gonna tell me it's God's plan? It's like, well, what's unfolding is the plan. And I'm like, you're probably right, but I hate the way you say it. And so, but learning how to surrender, man, has been really hard. But what I'm doing, I'm in such a great place. There's no such thing as staying stable, right? You grow or you die. Those are your paths. But I'm happy to surrender to the plan, whatever it is, and kind of like pay attention to what's in front of me and follow the things that are working and leave the things that aren't, and whatever that leads to, man.
I love it. Yeah. There's a couple of questions I ask everybody that's on the show with me, so I'm going to ask them to you. One of them, I already think I know your answer to it, but I have to ask it anyways because it's continuity. You got 4 kids.
Yeah.
I know your opinion of the educational system, but college, no college? What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so my kids are their own people. I can't sit here and preach all this stuff about self-knowledge and sovereignty and be like, then say my kids are gonna do X. That's fucking bullshit. Right. No. Now, at the same time, I'm gonna tell them what I think. And I'm gonna tell them what I think and why, but then they get to make their own decision. We have even a standing family rule. If it's safe and legal, the kids get to decide. But at the same time, I'm gonna encourage them, depending on what they want. College is probably not gonna serve them. You know, like if I have a kid who really, they just have it in their head, they gotta be a doctor, then you need to go to college, right? It's just not, there's not really another path. But we don't ask our kids what they want to be when they grow up. That's fucking bullshit. I hate that question. Because it tells them that their meaning is their job. Fuck that.
That's so dumb.
That's bullshit. Yeah. That's so dehumanizing.
That's just another fucking ornament
Dude,
on the tree.
Exactly. Yeah. No, man. And in fact, we go the other way. I hate the idea that you're supposed to kick kids out at 18 and they go fend for themselves. Fuck no. We've told all 4 of our kids, if you want to live here your whole life.
50 acres.
Right. We'll build you houses here. You can build your life here. Yeah. You know, if you want to go out and explore and see the world and meet a wife or a husband and then come back, great, whatever. You can do anything you want. But if you want to stay here as long as you want to stay here, this is like to the point where we actually, we have a trust and whatever that owns everything. And the trust, their names are on the trust. So they have a little doc so they know they're an owner of this land. Right? And so my wife and I see it as we're not just stewards for the land, but we're building like a family clan, right? And they're gonna be able to be here as long as they want. And so much so that my daughter actually, she asked me, will you build me a house now? And I'm like, I'm not gonna build you a full house, but like a tiny house. She's like, yeah, like 500 square feet. She's like, yeah, she wants her own little place, right? She's very, very independent, hates anyone telling her what to do. And so very much like her mom and dad. And so we're literally building her like her own little tiny, and of course my 9-year-old wants to because his sister's getting one. Yep. So we're building, and it's funny, the 4-year-old's like, why would you guys want to leave this house? Mom and dad cook everying. They give us everything. There's snacks here. Literally, he's like, why would you want to go somewhere?
He's the pragmatist. Right? He's like, you guys are dumb.
He goes, that doesn't make any sense. Fuck that. He literally, Deacon's like, can I just have this house when I grow up? And we're like, yeah, probably, if you really want. And he's like, great, I'm staying here. So we're going to build them 2 little tiny houses, like you saw it drive in, like kind of by the orchard. We're going to build them 2 little tiny houses that get to be their little clubhouses and whatever. Just show them at an early age. Like, one, you can envision your reality, you can pull it into existence. If you want something, ask for it. And then also, this is your place. You don't have to go anywhere else. You have a place.
That's great.
You know? And listen, I don't expect all 4 of my kids will want to do that. Probably at least one will, not just want to explore, but end up putting roots somewhere else. Okay, fine, that's cool, that's their choice. I'm gonna be happy for them, they'll still always be welcome here. But no, I feel like if we do a great job as parents and we build an amazing place, that most, if not all, are gonna wanna stay, or stay very close.
Yeah. Why would you wanna leave paradise? It's beautiful. Yeah. Last one, deeper question, and I'm still trying to find the answer, so don't feel pressured to have to know it, but why do you think we're here?
Oh, such a good question. So I got an answer on psychedelics. I can't claim it's the answer. I can't even claim it's right. Fuck goes on psychedelics, who fucking knows, right? So this is what I got on an early session. I think it was mushrooms. And a lot has reinforced this since then. So this is cemented into what I believe is true. I'm always willing to change my mind. So what I believe is that we are energetic beings having a physical experience. I'm not sure if it's aliens or spirits, angels. I'm not sure what I mean by energetic being, but this is not our only life and our only existence, not even the primary one, almost like a video game. And I think my understanding of it so far is you have a physical experience because it's very hard to evolve as pure energy or as an energetic being, but it's much easier to evolve. You slow the energy down. This is a very lower form of energy. The slower the energy is, the lower the vibration, lower the form, etc. It's easier to evolve. It's a harder experience, but it's easier to evolve your energy. I'm not sure exactly how. Please don't press me for fucking details, because I'm not an expert in this. But, and I feel like in whatever the astral realm, wherever realm you exist in as an energetic being, like you kind of pick the life you're coming into, And maybe you even come in with your group of friends or something like that. I don't know.
And possibly your traumas.
I think you pick the traumas, right? You pick the challenges and you pick the stuff, and then you go in either together or as a group or whatever. And so you're like, okay, I'm going to work on this and this and this, and you're going to work on that. You're going to be the daughter, I'm going to be the mom, you know, whatever, right? And you go in with, I think, similar groups a lot and stuff. And so that this level, this existence, this experience is designed as a difficult one, a challenging one, and one for evolution and for growth. And so I think we're here to have these experiences and to learn from them and to grow from them. Do you play video games?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like, right, so if you play like whatever, World of Warcraft or Call of Duty, you have a character, you play it out, you win the game, that's cool, and then you either go on with your life or you buy another video game. I think it's sort of the same thing. And I feel like it's kind of like that. It is very much a game, but maybe with higher stakes than Call of Duty. You know, it's a game for your soul and a game to improve your soul. That's my experience, and that's my current belief. So
I love it. Best answer I've heard, brother. Thank you so much, Tucker.
Of course, man.
It's been
my pleasure. Yeah.
Pleasure to talk to you. We're gonna take a walk around the compound here, and so we're gonna see what you got going on here.
Cool.
Guys, make sure you follow Tucker on all of his socials, although I don't necessarily know that you post a lot, but where should people reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I post a little on Twitter, I post some on Instagram, mainly just pictures of my kids on Instagram. And then I got my site, tuckermax.com, which has some stuff. Pretty much it.
Cool, I'll put links to all the stuff down there. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Incredible, right? This guy has evolved so much. He went from young guy who was drinking too much, gets almost kicked out of law school, gets fired from his parents at their restaurant, goes on a spiritual journey, ends up learning so much about himself, evolves as a human being, realizes that the Matrix is lying to him, decides that he wants to unplug from the Matrix, goes to a homestead, lives on 50 acres in Austin, Texas, actually just outside of Austin, Texas, in this beautiful community called Dripping Springs. And he is an example for so many of us of what it looks like to live life intentionally and on your terms. Would you live the way Tucker Max lives? As I was sitting out there looking at all of his dumb sheep and the chickens and all of the beauty, the calm, the stillness that he gets to enjoy every single day, the purity of the life that he gets to lead with his children and being able to teach them the skills that are valuable to living and not just the rote stuff that they make us memorize in school. I mean the really important stuff, like why are we here, right? This was an incredible conversation for me, and I really enjoyed it. So if you guys got some fulfillment from this, I would love it if you left us a comment. Tell Tucker Max how you feel about him. Tell Tucker what you learned from him. And also, if you enjoyed this, leave a comment. Like I said, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.